cool to see this. Today we're starting a video on a guy by the name of Mark Benitez, which isn't a nice story at all. Mark Benitez, though, was in Pee-wee's Big Adventure. He played one of the kids on the bike shop. He's in a few other movies, Stand-In Deliveries and Highway to Heaven. And had a very sad story, actually, what happened to Mark. And a child actor story that, you know, it seems to be a cliche anymore. But it's fascinating. So this story is going to be about Mark Benitez.
Hey, is Dottie still working on your bike?
Can't really talk about it. You know, James Bond kind of stuff.
Yeah, that Dottie, she's really radical with bikes.
Hi, Pee-wee.
Say we cruise, dudes. Yeah. Sure is getting hot in here.
I tell them you don't care. If you don't want to be a crazy fool, you better study real hard and stay in school. Now everybody knows Mr. T don't lie, and it ain't no fun just scraping by. So if you want...
Manny. All the breaks been going well for Manny. He's wearing the B-boy look. B for breaking, and boy, do that look tough.
So Manuel had been on the run for 4 years after killing his girlfriend. He was with his mother, actually, and they were spotted once in Oregon. I guess he had some kind of family connections in Oregon. Somehow, on December 23rd, on 2008, he was in this strip mall. Now, people had their eye on him because I guess he was dragging the kid along. He was wearing camouflage. Somebody described him as a transient, so they had their eye on him, and I think somebody may have called the police. And the police arrived and they approached him, and he flipped, and it started right about where I am now. It was December 23rd, 2008 in the afternoon, and the incident started off in this parking lot. And when the police started after Benitez ran to this restaurant, the El Sombrero, and ran to that door. Now, an employee saw him, and they said he tried to get into the front door. One of the waitresses came in screaming when they saw him, and then she got inside, and the employee barricaded the door to stop him from entering. A very wise, actually, decision on her part. So Benitez ran to this door. He was armed, I should say, too. He was armed. Pounding, trying to get in. He couldn't get in. So he took off running in this direction. And I don't know why he chose to do this. There are loads of places here and there that he could have ran into. Now, maybe he was trying to get out of the neighborhood. I'm not sure. So they say he had his kid in a headlock. Clearly he had mental problems. See, he had been arrested before he killed his girlfriend with a dumbbell in front of the kid. He had been arrested, and this is something kind of sketchy. I'm not really sure of the details, but he had a baby stroller. The baby was in a baby stroller. And the police stopped him, searched him, and in the stroller they found drugs and a weapon. So he was arrested. I guess that was the last straw for he and his girlfriend, because she was going to leave him. She was going to ditch him, and that's when he killed her. And that's why he was on the run. So he was a fugitive at that point. They wanted to arrest him and charge him for the murder. He took his kid, he went with his mother, and they took off. This was like, I think they had the kid on a milk carton, when they were doing that for missing kids. But he went into this restaurant called Taipan. The front door has been boarded up, so I wonder if I think it's been boarded up for 14 years. So I'll read this article. A gunman took a 7-year-old boy hostage and was killed by police after a 2-hour standoff at an LA restaurant. This restaurant. He was identified Wednesday as the boy's father, a former child actor who was a fugitive wanted for a 2004 slaying. Manuel Benitez, who police said barricaded himself inside this restaurant with the child, was declared dead at the scene soon after gunshots were fired. The boy was also injured in the shootout and was hospitalized in critical condition, although they're not life-threatening injuries. They took him to LA County Medical Center. The Sheriff's Department released no information on the wounded boy. We know who that was now.
The scene of the violent end of what may be a family tragedy that may go back as much as 4 years. A gunman holding a little boy hostage. A little boy who may be his son. In El Monte, seconds before gunfire erupts as a man holds a 6-year-old boy hostage. Multiple shots fired after a 2-hour standoff that began about 3:20 p.m. Police say a man in his 30s, a possible murder suspect, held a boy who may be his son. The gunman and the boy were barricaded in the restroom of a Chinese restaurant where the man took cover after he was approached by a police officer as a suspicious person with a child on the street.
Authorities are still searching for Benitez's mother, Elizabeth Velasco, who originally was wanted for questioning in connection with the boy's disappearance. I guess they'd call it a kidnapping. Well, he killed the mother. I guess it would be technically a kidnapping. Benitez, who is from Hawthorne, was wanted for police in connection with the murder of his wife, Stephanie Spears, in 2004. He used a dumbbell to beat her to death and fled them with their 3-year-old son, Benjamin Everett. Sheriff's Department repeated Benitez was 38 years old and was born in September of 69. According to the FBI, Benitez was a former child actor who used aliases such as Mark Everett, Manuel Velasco, and Mike Evers to elude authorities. He also may have spoken several languages, including German, French, English, Spanish, and Cantonese. Best known working under the name Mark Everett, he appeared in Pee-wee's Big Adventure, Stand and Deliver, Trapper John, M.D. After years away from the camera, he reappeared in 2005 as a real-life fugitive on America's Most Wanted. A state warrant was issued for arrest. A federal warrant was issued in 2006 when he was charged with unlawful flight to avoid prosecution. $20,000 reward was offered. The Tuesday afternoon incident began in the parking lot in El Monte, where we are. According to witnesses, it ended at 5:30 p.m. when a flashbang grenade exploded and gunshots echoed inside this building. Shortly afterwards, authorities carried the boy out on a stretcher and put him in an ambulance. Henry Villain, who was talking to a friend in the parking lot when he saw a man roughly dragging the young boy by his t-shirt. At first, Villain thought nothing of it because he assumed the man was just a bad parent. An El Monte police officer who was investigating reports of a transient man and a young boy in the area approached the pair and told the man to let go of the boy. The man resisted and fled, pulling the boy with him. He tried to enter the El Sombrero restaurant where we just were, and he tried to come in the front door, and one of our waitresses came in screaming. The employee said an employee barricaded the door to stop him from entering. He ran across the parking lot into the Thai Pan Chinese restaurant, where we are right now, where he barricaded himself and the child in a bathroom. Here he threatened to kill himself, the juvenile, and any responding officers, according to the Sheriff's Department. The police finally had enough of waiting, so they threw a flash bomb and stormed the restaurant. And Manuel was killed. He's 38 years old. His son was injured, taken to USC Medical Center downtown. And look at that, they put graffiti on the toilet seat. Quite creative. And that's where he died. Now, that's where the coroner's office is as well. So Manuel was taken to the coroner's office and cremated by the county. Don't know what happened to his remains. Probably buried in a mass grave at the county cemetery. But this is where it all took place, in this restaurant.
heard me.